I tried to get a free refill on an Americano at Starbucks, which is something you can't do. It's not. You can get a free refill on an iced coffee, a regular coffee, and like tea or something like that. And I looked it up. I'm sitting there and I looked it up too. So I knew this. So I was like, okay, well, maybe she'll fill it up with iced coffee. Maybe she'll like fill it up. Maybe she'll be cool. Sometimes I'm like, will you be cool? That's the question. I'm not saying like, will you just be cool? When people give you that straight up answer of course not. Yeah, I'll explain. So I thought, will she be cool? Will she just fill this cup up with iced coffee? Will she just fill it up with iced coffee if I ask her to fill it up with iced coffee? So I take it over and I say, hey, do you guys do this is what I say. You guys do refills on iced coffee? Or on decaf Americano? And she's like, no, sorry, we don't. And I don't know why. I hate being told sorry to, like a sheepish sorry. I respond much better to a no, we don't. No. To a no, we don't do refills on that one. I know most people are like, no, whatever, you wouldn't like that answer either, but I hate that, like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why I do, but I hate it. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna just ask if she'll fill it up with iced coffee. If she'll just go for it and fill it up with some iced coffee. So I'm like, yeah, could you just like, could you just fill it up with, I was like, do you do it on iced coffee? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, could you just fill it up with iced coffee? And this is like, I'm like trying to be flirty. If I'm being honest, I'm trying to be flirty. And not even in like a sexual way or anything. I think sometimes I'll flirt with a man, you know. I'll flirt with older gentleman behind the Starbucks line just to, you know, flirting isn't necessarily sexual. It's just you trying to connect with them and have fun. So I'm being flirty and I'm like, you just fill it up with iced coffee? And she's like, no, I'd have to charge you for a new drink. It'd be a whole new purchase. And I was like, it's one of those things where it's just like, you know what? You know, I don't know if she knew I was asking, are you going to be cool? Are you cool? Are you cool? Which is really what I'm saying is, I know I didn't order this drink, but will you fill it up with a different drink for free? And she said no. And then she gives you like the literal, she knows I don't want to buy a whole new coffee, but she's like, well, I can ring you up for an entire new one. Respect for being a company woman, a company Starbucks woman, and being like, no, you can't get coffee for free, jackass. But it was like the flirting that failed me. It was like me having the confidence that I'm like, and if I really wanted to go for it, if I really wanted to just lay out for it, I would have been like, yeah, can you just fill it up with iced coffee and then not charge me? It's the end of the day. Can you just do that for me and just be cool? And then if she would have been like, no, I won't do that, I should have just said that, because at that point I was already embarrassed. I had no reason to be embarrassed, but I was a little bit red in the face. I should have just gone for it. And that's what I should have done. I should have just said, look, we both know what's going on here. I'm trying to get free iced coffee. Are you going to give it to me? She would have said no. She would have absolutely said no. She knew what was going on. But yeah, that was, the note said flirting failed me, and that's when that happened. But that always happens. Oh man, like at the this happened at 24 Hour Fitness one time. I needed to charge my phone, and I asked them, hey, do you have a charger? And I'd done this before. I'd ask, do you have a charger for this, for my phone or whatever? And they're like, you may, no, we don't do, or I was like, can you plug this in while I'm working out? And they were like, it's this Australian dude at 24 Hour Fitness. Someone had done it for me before. Someone had been cool. Like I said, been cool and been like, oh yeah, I got you, buddy. Because at that point, he's not being like, I'm operating on behalf of 24 Hour Fitness and you can do that. I'm going to be cool and let you do that. He's just saying, hey, I'm just the guy that can help you out and I'm going to help you out. But this Australian dude, when I went in, he was like, I don't think we can do that. I think that's against policy, mate. And I'm like, yeah, No shit, dude. You can't be plugging in people's phones behind the counter for everyone that walks in. Yeah, of course. I think he was even like, oh, ask my manager. I'm like, don't ask your, like, I was just like, dude, are you going to be cool? That's all I want to know. And you're not. You're going to go ask your manager, just plug the phone in or don't. And he didn't. But it's funny when you just ask people, like, are you going to be cool? And they're like, I'm not cool. I'm a rule follower. I'm like, great. Respect it. Follow the rules. Don't get fired. Do your thing. But yeah, it's always embarrassing when they're like, I think that's against like, I don't think we have a policy. I'm like, no, you don't. Of course not. No, you can't do that. But God, I just remembered that. What do I have? Oh, okay. So I was in San Francisco and I rode my, oh God, I rode my skateboard past this guy. And you know, when you pass by someone, you just hear one sentence out of context from a conversation. And I heard this guy, I just hear him say, and this is pretty much the exact verbiage of what he said. He's like, everyone talks about like, oh, don't you want to just get a house in the suburbs? You know, and just like settle down. And I'm like, fuck that. I'm doing, I shouldn't do this voice because it's really condescending. But he's like, he says this and he says, and I'm like, fuck that, man. I like the city. And then, so that's all I was going by on my skateboard. That's all I heard. And I just was like, oh, damn, dude, that's what I sound like. It was like seeing yourself through someone else's eyes. And I was like, damn. That is some joke. That is a sentence that I would say. And I'm like, that's what I sound like to other people. I've been the guy walking and the guy on the skateboard has heard me say that sentence. I was like, stop talk. I should stop saying stuff for a while. I should stop because it's not an opinion. I'd like to live in the suburbs. Like for a bit, suburbs are nice. Like I enjoy that, but I think there's a part of me that does want that and is ashamed that I want to, live near an Outback Steakhouse. I want to not pay for parking, and I kind of don't like the city. Part of me doesn't like the city, but part of me doesn't like the part of me that doesn't like that does like the suburbs. But it was just riding past him. I'm like, oh, that's just a glimpse into what people see when they see me. So yeah, it was pretty enlightening. Oh yeah, I feel so I felt like in San Francisco people could tell I was visiting. Because it almost, to me, it feels like a place that is invite only, I was saying it feels like a cloud. It feels like you're on a cloud, and some of the people there, I'm going to put in the background, I'm going to put the GoPro footage from my skateboard. And there was this girl that was coming by on a bike, and her bike shirt said Cal. Like she went to Cal, and she was just like, decked. She looked great. She was decked out in like, when people just look clean, they just look like they just bought all this bike gear. She looked amazing, and she was whipping. She must have been going 30 miles an hour, just like whipping around this corner. It's somewhere in there. I mean, I passed by her, I had the camera on. But I was like, man, that girl she deserves to live in San Francisco. She earned that. That right there is what the mayor of San Francisco would want. They would want that girl. They would see that and they'd be like, more of her. Invite your friends. Because it looked good. It looked picturesque. She's like riding through the mountain right there. Sunglasses. I'm sure she was rocking like $3,000, including the bike, like $3,000 worth of gear. And I was like, that's a person who lives here. I was riding around with my skateboard. I was stopping a lot. I fell off a few times. I had a GoPro attached to my helmet, and it was a skateboard helmet. It was like a Pro Tech skateboard. I didn't look cool. I didn't look experienced. I didn't look like I had somewhere to be. I didn't look like I knew where I was going. I was wandering around. And I wasn't good on the skateboard. I don't have health insurance, so I was very fearful I was gonna fall. Yeah, I felt like I felt like a sore thumb. I felt like someone was gonna kick me out and they'd be like, you know what? Vibes off with you, buddy. You're throwing the whole thing off. So, but yeah, what a so I didn't tip on coffee. And this is like, man, I've been thinking about this lately, like tipping on coffee. I waited for a really long time. I'm not complaining. They were very busy. They're very busy. I went to this coffee shop. I got drip coffee. And this is where I've decided I'm not tipping. I don't care what anyone does. I don't care what anyone does. I'm not saying this is the right thing to do. I'm not saying there is a right thing to do. But I think my code, I'm like, I'm not gonna tip on drip coffee anymore. And I don't have to explain that there's a principle other than the fact that I don't want to. And it's not in my moral code to tip for drip coffee. I'm not justifying not doing it. I've just come to the realization that the only reason I was doing it before was because I didn't want to be judged by society. And something I'm trying to work on now is not caring about social norms and living by my own ethical code. And I've decided that drip coffee is not something I tip for. And I'm not doing it. Oh, no, I didn't even talk about this. So this was before I made the decision that I wasn't going to tip on drip coffee. So I get to Oakland. I'm like breathing heavy. I get to Oakland. I'm looking for a place to like post up, pre-Airbnb. The guy hasn't got back to me. I want to open up a laptop. I want to take a piss and I want some coffee. And I park. I'm walking around. I go to this like trailer and I'm like, okay, well this will work. I can at least get my coffee here. There's nowhere to sit. I don't know if they got Wi-Fi. So I go up. Girl's like, yeah, I look back at her and she's in the trailer and she's like, I'm on my break until 3. And I was like, there's a sign out front. And I'm like, sorry. Okay. So I leave that. It's funny when I felt bad for her. Cause I didn't see the sign, but I'm sure she's like giving her previous frustrations from someone who was like, well, you're sitting right there. Why can't you make me coffee? Which is a fair point, but she's also on her break. Whatever. She didn't have to make you coffee. So I'm sure she had someone that was frustrated before her. And she was like, she was ready for a fight because probably been fighting with people all break. She didn't want to make him coffee, which I respect. So anyway, I'm off. I got to go find a new place to get coffee. So I find this place, Wooden Table in Oakland. Wooden Table Cafe in Oakland. So I walk in and I asked the girl, I'm like, hey, I was like, do you have a restroom? Because at this point I have to pee really bad. She's like, oh no, sorry, we don't. Another sheepish, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Because it's also another thing where it's like, she's saying, oh, I'm sorry to disappoint. But also, we do have a bathroom because I have to pee somewhere. So really what they're saying is like, yeah, we do, but we don't you're not using it, buddy. So I'm like, okay. I was like, do you have Wi-Fi? And she's like, no, sorry, we don't. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, do you have coffee? She laughs and says, yes, we do have coffee. I'm like, okay, great. So I buy the coffee and I notice, and at this point, I have anxiety. Not like I have anxiety like I'm some sort of, I hate it when people say they have anxiety. Like, no shit, you should have anxiety. You're a human being, you make adrenaline, people have it. You should have anxiety in some cases. But anyway, I get like a little bit anxious when I'm presented with the tip situation on something. Because I'm like, oh, what am I going to tip? I can't be throwing $1 in every time someone pours me a cup of coffee. Anyway, but I had been. So they have the glass up and I hand them my card, and that's the situation. And then they run it on an iPad behind them that I don't have access to. So I'm thinking, well, they have the iPad. I can't put my tip in, right? So I'm like, how's this gonna work? And I'm thinking like, oh, is she going to ask? Is she gonna straight up ask for the tip? I'm like, this is gonna be crazy. Sure enough, she's like, would you like to leave a tip today? And she like faces it toward me, and it's like $1, $2, $3. I'm like, I said, and it like, I'm not good in the moment. I feel like I'm getting better, but this was good. I laughed. I wasn't upset. I laughed and said, absolutely not. And she laughed too. I was like, okay, it's all good. You can just be a person with people, because she understands the situation too. You know, she's not gonna be like, what an asshole, because if she was in the situation too, she'd probably and I laughed too. I wasn't taken back by the fact that she'd ask for a tip. You know, she's got to hustle. She's got to ask. But I was just like, absolutely not. I'm about to walk out of here still with a bladder full of piss and drinking a coffee, and I haven't checked my Airbnb messages. But yeah, Wooden Table Cafe. It's getting so hard to piss in the city. It's just so difficult to find a public restroom. And I don't know what the answer is. I went in to the Hollywood Boulevard Target, and I went in and I asked the guy, I'm like, hey, where's the restroom? He's like, oh, sorry, our restrooms are closed. I was like, well, why? He's like, we closed them. I was like, for what? And he says, people were using them. I'm like, okay. He said, yeah, no, people. He says, CVS, you can't use the restrooms. Here, you can't use the restrooms. Everyone shut down the restrooms because we had lines out the door for people to use our restrooms. I was like, I believe it, dude. I believe it. And he's like, you can go to the, Hollywood and Highland Mall. I was like, I'm not going there. I'm trying to go home. Anyway, I make it home. But you can't pee anywhere. But also, I kind of understand, because I've been places. If you go to Echo Park, try to use the restroom there, people post up in the toilets. I don't know what they're doing in there. I have no idea. Doors shut, but they lock the doors and they post up in there for a while. So I don't know what the answer is. I'm not even upset that Target had shut their restrooms down, because I understand. I'd probably do the same thing. But it's so hard to piss in the city. I'll pay $1. I'll pay $2 to take a piss sometimes. You can gouge the hell out of me. I'm gonna get a UTI if people won't let me whip my dick out and relieve myself. Oh my God. All right, I don't even know if I should tell the story. No, it's not worth it. Let's see what else we got. Oh man, that was the only note I had. But if there was somewhere that you could consistently know, I mean, I don't know. I think people make jokes about this, but if there was an app where you could find a clean restroom or ranked restrooms, also coffee shop, if there were like good if you had rankings of what's a good coffee shop that you can open a laptop, decent Wi-Fi, and be comfortably seated and get some work done, it'd be great. I need to know where to pee, and I need to know where I can like post up for 30 minutes, get some work done, and get, you know what? Shitty coffee. Shitty coffee's fine. I don't care. If it's hot and it's brown, I'll take it. And if you got a restroom and some decent Wi-Fi, I'll do it. But sometimes I just don't know where to. I don't know where to go. Also, I don't know. I get this. I'm becoming more understanding as a person. I used to just bitch and moan about everything. I used to just complain and want to try to feel like I was the victim in everything, which is not true. But I would always get frustrated on coffee shops that would be no laptops on the weekends, or just didn't have Wi-Fi straight up. And Yeah, whatever. I'd complain. Like, I would not complain, but I'd whine about it. But then, if I really think about it, I'm like, yeah, get your fucking laptop out of here on the weekends. We want people to come in, have a little brunch, get boozed up, and we don't want you, like, posting up, putting your office in here. Get the hell out of here. We're trying to sell mimosas. So, yeah, fuck me. Fuck me for sure and my dumbass laptop and my video editing. We're trying to, you know, sell $12 Bloody Marys, dude. Probably like $15 Bloody Marys. So I get it now, but they did that at Bodega too. They did that at Bodega because you could get, it's a wine bar, because you can get coffee during the day, but at 5, I was there once and I'm like working on some stuff and a guy almost like shuts my laptop on me and says, no laptops after 5. He didn't do it, but he did it without doing it. He was like, no, he like got right up there. It's like, no laptops after 5. I'm like, all right, shutting it down. Which makes sense because they're trying to have like that place is sexy. They're trying to have a fun, sexy environment at Bodega. And if a dude's out with his laptop, like reading blogs, you know, like, fuck that. People are trying to get laid on a Monday with, you know, $20 bottle nights. Like, it's not the spot. So a younger me would have said, I can't believe the injustice I've suffered, but wow. It's so funny. I get older and I just realized how I was wrong. My inclination was constantly to figure out how I was right and how I was victimized and how just the atrocities that I'd suffered. And I always like considered, the odd thing is I always considered myself such an empathetic person and I really thought I had good perspective on life, but until recently I just noticed that that's not true. I look back at every situation I encounter, anything, I look for reasons to get frustrated, I look for reasons to get mad and figure out how I've been wronged. And it never did me any good. It never did me anything. It never did me any good to make myself the victim and get a little rage buzz. So, yeah, and my friend Zach Powers, he said it best. Sometimes you just need to ask yourself, like, what's really going on here? What's really going on here? And if you take a second and you ask yourself, you'll realize that things are just going on. You're not a victim. You shouldn't take any of these things personally. They're just other people doing things. And if you let it, you can choose to get mad. Every choice is to get mad. Every choice is to get sad. Every choice is to get anxious. I think let's start with that. Like, rage is the one where you're like, I'm going to choose rage. I'm going to choose to get mad. I'm going to choose to be pissed at this. I'm going to choose to get hot. I'm going to choose to have my blood boil because I don't know, it's fun. I think you get a buzz from rage. I think you get a little bit of like a Coke, caffeine high from it. It's an upper. Rage is an upper. Rage takes it, yeah. But then it burns off very quickly and you feel sick to your stomach. I'm just trying to realize that I'm wrong most of the time. And not even like everything's an attack against me, but everything's an attack against my character. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Because I've even realized a lot of times you don't even have to defend yourself if someone is attacking you. You don't even have to care. You know, if someone's trying to like make you feel like a piece of shit, you don't have to. I think about that too. I think about people that I've tried to like attack and feel bad, and then I'm like family members, not like I'm this miserable family member to be around, but family members where I'm like, I'm gonna like low key make them feel bad, and then bad enough, it does work, but now I'm like, why did they even care? I was totally in the wrong, you know? Then I have so many apologies to make. I need to go talk to my family members and say, hey, I was entirely in the wrong, and then I tried to make you feel bad about it, and you did feel bad. Also, stop feeling bad about shit that's not your fault. Don't let people like me in your life. Unless, well, it's my family, so. Yeah, I don't know. I might actually, like, talk to them soon. And I honestly want to, this is weird, but I want to ask my family if, I want to ask them, like, do you guys kind of, like, hate me? Do you guys, am I, like, the black sheep? Am I the one where they're like, fuck, we can't call? I think Joe's gonna come to the, vacation. Yeah. Like, I don't know if they talk shit. If they do talk shit behind my back, I'm like, good. I'm glad they can connect over how bad of a family member I've been. Yeah, I hope so. All right, my camera can't go that long, so this was cool.